Hello YouTube, it's David from the David and Nico channel. Today we're going to make the cutouts for our Jurassic World Fossil cake. These are the things that you're going to need. You're going to need a rolling pin, cookie cutters if you're going to put dinosaurs along the side of your cake or on top of the cake, wherever you decide. This is the one I used for the test cake. I think I'm going to use this one for the final cake. This is the stencil that I made for the top of the cake. It's made off of this picture I found on the internet. This is an actual T-Rex skull, so I thought that was kind of cool. Some sifted powdered sugar to put on our work surface. Of course, the fondant that we made in the previous video. A ruler may come in handy, a cutting mat, and then a cutting tool. A lot of people use an X-Acto knife. I found this little box cutter at my local hardware store. It's got about the same size blade as an X-Acto knife. That's what I'm going to use today. So that's what you need for this project. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I've taken my fondant out of the refrigerator, and when you first take it out, it's going to be hard as a rock. So you just kind of want to work it in your hands a little bit, soften it up. And then all we need to do first is roll it out. Now I'm using powdered sugar on my work surface. I've seen other videos where they recommend like cornstarch, but I have not had any trouble with using powdered sugar. So that's what I'm using here. Now we're going to roll this out just like cookie dough. There's nothing to it. Just a hint, if you don't know and haven't rolled out a lot of dough, is let your rolling pin do the work. Let the weight of it do the work. You don't need to put a lot of pressure. Just kind of let it do the work. Go in random directions. Move it around. I like to turn mine over or work the other side as well. So just kind of work it out. You want it to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. That's why a ruler can come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. And once I do, we'll be back to cut some stencils and use some cookie cutters. Alright, so this has been rolled out and it's right about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I'm going to just show you how to use the cookie cutter, which is, I know, kind of silly, but we'll do one anyway. If you're going to pick up some cookie cutters, I always would recommend that you get metal ones. They make a much finer, much more exact cut than plastic ones, but plastic ones certainly will work as well. So we're just going to cut out one here as an example. I'll cut out more later. So it's just like cutting cookie dough. Nothing secret about this at all. There you go. You have your first cookie cutout. Now I'm going to go ahead and trace around my stencil. I'm just going to pick one piece here to use, and I'm going to kind of try to zoom in a little bit more so you can kind of see. After you get these done, I would put them in a baggie and store them in your refrigerator until you're ready to put them on the cake. Get all the air out of the baggie and just keep them flat in your refrigerator until you're ready to put them on the cake. So I'm going to set this aside. In fact, I will put that in the baggie while I zoom in the camera. So I'll be back in just a second. We'll zoom in a little bit. So I've switched over and put my cutting mat underneath my fondant, and I've got my stencil on top. You probably could use a cutting board, but it's really going to wreak havoc with your knife that you're using. So now I want to try this. This may still be too wet or too stretchy to actually get a good cut. The other thing is, don't feel like you have to actually cut all the way through. We'll see if it's too stretchy. I extended my knife out a little bit so I can kind of stay back here. Seems to be pretty good. So that's really all you have to do, is just take your time, cut all around your stencil. Don't have to go all the way through. Once you get a little bit of the cut in the fondant, you can just go back and cut all the way through without your stencil on top. The real key and the real trick here is sometimes getting the middle out. If it's not dry enough, then this won't work, but it seems to be working well. So if you're trying to cut out something intricate, sometimes it's better to let this set and dry out. Once you've rolled it out, let it set for 20 minutes or so, and some of that stretchiness will disappear. And then it's much easier to get a finer cut. So that's one secret if you're going to be cutting out something that's intricate, kind of like this. The teeth on the skull here is really tough. Definitely don't try to go all the way through. Just make marks where the teeth are, then kind of cut around it, and then take your time and go tooth by tooth to get the teeth cut, because they are tough. So that's kind of the secrets there. Make sure it's dry enough to get a good cut. Take your time. Don't try to cut all the way through the first time. Go back after and finish your cut. So I am not going to sit here and bore you while I cut all this out, because that's how simple it is. I just wanted to kind of give you a few hints that the drier the better. Use a good knife, and don't try to cut through it all the way the first time. That will cause you all kinds of headaches, I promise. Here are a few examples of other things that I did with the fondant. I made these flowers and the animals with cookie cutters that I happen to have. And then I made this kind of 3D rose. It turned out alright, considering that I've never done this before. So hopefully this gives you a little inspiration of cakes that you can make on your own and using this fondant. So thank you for joining us. I hope you picked up a few tips that might be helpful for you in the future. If you really want to learn more about fondant, there's some great professional cake decorators on YouTube. Check out their videos. And please join our channel. We really appreciate your viewing. Thank you. Have a great day.